Hey guys, it's me Nisi here of Spoil Me Nisi, back with another video. So tonight I am reviewing A Teacher episode 10, which is the series finale. It aired today at 12:01 a.m. on Hulu. Just in case if you haven't already seen the show yet, just as always, this episode will have spoilers. So let's get into it. So I'm actually kind of sad that the show is over. I really did enjoy this series. Excuse the sirens if you hear them. So I really did enjoy this series, even though the subject matter itself is very cringy, very sad, and a little disturbing. There are certain aspects of the show that I really found, I just enjoyed. I thought that it was a story that definitely needed to be told because inappropriate relationships between adults or authority figures and minors or, subordinates, they do happen quite often. I think all of us know at least one person in life that has had a relationship with someone like Eric did with Claire, and it always ends up ugly, but it is something that does happen very often, and more awareness needs to be brought to it, So I am happy they created the show, and I do like what they did with it. I do believe that this finale was a little bit bittersweet because I feel like there are still a lot of answers that were just a lot of questions that were left unanswered in the show. I'm not going to break down the whole episode. I'll just focus on, different points that I felt were meaningful. In this episode, you kind of see that Claire has made a complete turnaround from the last episode. Last episode 10, Claire was in really bad shape. She was using sex as an escape. She had a lot of guilt, which she should have. And she also implied to her dad that she might have been suicidal. And in that episode as well, you see Eric having like a really hard time. But you saw him really making some realizations as well. Well, the series finale takes place 10 years later. So there is a time jump. So you would assume that, if Eric was, 18, 19 years old last episode, he's pushing 30 in this series finale. And Claire is in her 40s at this point. So in this episode, you see that Claire, she found a husband who's very well off. They have a big, beautiful house. And he put a big diamond on her finger. They drive a Tesla. And they have 2 children, which definitely stuck out to me, especially since during the season, before everything went down, she does express to her previous husband that, she felt sad that she didn't have kids yet. So she finally got her kids, and it seems like she finally got the marriage that she wanted. One thing I noticed, though, about this episode is that you never see her and her husband like hug or kiss or anything like that. They do seem kind of distant, but he must love her. He married her knowing her past and, knowing what she did. But they don't really dive into what kind of marriage they have. In this episode, Claire and Eric run into each other at the market, and, Eric is still going through it, Previously, before they ran into each other, you see that Eric just looks really uncomfortable, looks like he doesn't look happy. He looks like he's unhappy. You can kind of tell there might be some anxiety there with him. And then when they see each other, that just kind of sets his anxiety into overdrive. They ran into each other at the market. Claire was there looking very nice, with her daughter. And Eric was there looking pretty scruffy, hair grown out. He looks like, he had just come back from being in the woods. He has like something going on where he helps kids. and they go camping and things like that. But when you look at both Eric and Claire in this scene, you can tell that both of them are in different shape. She seems more like she's got it together at this point, and he seems like he's just kind of hanging on by a thread. And I think that was really sad to see in this episode. I was kind of hoping for a different outcome. But yeah, those relationships, they certainly destroy lives. And this show certainly shows how Claire and Eric's relationship certainly ruined his childhood, or his young adulthood. So, after they saw each other, you see Claire kind of dazed. She's at her father's birthday party. Her brother is there. It's all love with them. He comes with his wife and the kids, and everyone seems to be getting along. Her dad is proud of her, but she seems to be back in that place she was before in the show, staring out the window, thinking and making bad decisions. She decides to text Eric, which she certainly should not have done. I was actually sad to see her do that. I thought he would be the one to reach out to her, but she was actually the one to reach out to him, which was a mistake. So during that time, you see Eric just kind of going through the motions. The episode does imply that he left Texas because he goes to see his mom and his brothers. His brothers are huge. And it's like as if, he hadn't seen them in years. He's surprised to see how big they are. And they're around the age that he was when Claire abused him, at this point in the show. Then you see him go to his high school reunion. And, all of his friends there, they're like surprised to see him. It's almost as though he wasn't in Texas for all 10 of those years. Even his mom, no one was used to seeing him at this point. And I thought that was really interesting. I think that it's interesting that Claire stayed in Texas and Eric is the one that left. Because in the end, Eric wasn't the one that did anything wrong. Claire was actually the one to do something wrong because she was the adult who pursued a relationship with a kid, with a 17-year-old. So really that shame that made Eric leave Texas really should have been her shame. And I would imagine that she should have been the one to leave Texas because of, the hate, I guess, that people have for her in that state because of that. So I did think that was interesting how the writers did it that way, him leaving and her staying. But, it makes sense. When people are sexually abused, which Eric was in fact sexually abused, there's it has mental effects and there's a certain amount of shame they feel. And I think the writers of the show did a really good job showing that. And Eric is still dealing with everything, so, she texts Eric and asks him if, she can go to lunch. He agrees. When he arrives to lunch, she's sitting there again, looking very nice, very cleaned up. And, she asks him if he wants to order anything. He just orders water, which pretty much shows that he is not, he doesn't have intentions of staying there for a long time. Claire tries to have some small talk and Eric just kind of cuts to the chase. Why'd you call me here? What is there to talk about? A lot was said in that conversation, but what really bothered me about that conversation is that, Claire basically told him that their relationship was just an escape for her because she was in a marriage she was unhappy in. I thought that was really insensitive that she said that because, even though their relationship was inappropriate and he was a kid, Eric did grow some strong feelings for her. And, just like she put her career on the line for him, he put his reputation and his childhood on the line for her, and, at one point in time, he really felt like his feelings were real and that her feelings were real, just to find out in the end that their whole relationship was just a sick joke to her, and I thought that was really crummy that she said that. In the end of it all, Eric pretty much told her what she needed to hear, pretty much that she's sick. She's a sick person. She destroyed his life. He has brothers that are 17. They look like kids, and he just can't understand how, she could have done what she did, and he finally realized that he was abused, and he finally sees her for what she is, an abuser, and he expressed to her that, I guess it bothers him that she's doing so well, but she let him know that she's not. I mean, she can't be a normal mom to her kids. A lot of people in Texas hate her. She can't get a job. She's in a situation right now where she needs her husband. She can't even take her kids to school because she can't be anywhere around children. So even though, everything looks perfect for her, Clara's really not in good shape. She's just kind of going with emotions. So all in all, that's the gist of what happened in this episode. Eric pretty much ended it with her. At this point, I would say he hates her. At this point, which, I don't condone anyone hating anyone, but he finally sees her for who she is, and he treated her the way, she should have treated him, in the beginning. She should have been the adult. She should have not pursued that relationship. And, at this point in time, Eric is more mature than she is because she's still kind of defending her actions, so he ends up ending it, So in the end, even though there are a lot of questions that are still unanswered, the major question that's answered now is that there's no more Eric and Claire. So in my opinion, it ended abruptly, I think. But that's just me. I feel like I wish the show went a little longer, just to give us more of a look into what happens in Claire's life, and also in Eric's life as well. From previous videos that I've done, I did say that, I hope to see Claire and Eric kind of end things on a high note. I would have liked to see Eric, be, in a position where he's a little bit happier and kind of dealing with things a little bit better. But I think that's just because usually in shows and movies, things kind of end on a high note. So I guess we're just programmed to feel that way. But this show was based off of real life. And in real life, sometimes things like that don't always end on a high note. People, just have to deal with things, and, it just kind of is what it is. So that's pretty much it for my review. All in all, I think the show itself was a pretty good show. If you haven't already gotten into it, I think you should just look at the show from an open mind. And, in the beginning, it kind of seems like they're romanticizing the relationship, but they're not. They're just kind of showing, everything from their perspective in the beginning. But just know that in the end, they bring everything to where it needs to be. And it's not romanticizing the show at all. It really does focus on the abuse of it all. The overall show, 1 out of 10, I would rate it, probably a 9. I really did enjoy the show. I really did enjoy doing reviews on the show. I think it's definitely a conversation that needed to be had, and the writers did a really good job at it. So that's it for that. So if you guys like the video, please like, and if you haven't already, subscribe, and also share the video. As always, I'll be doing more videos during the week, and this weekend I'll be doing a video on the season finale of Power Book 2 Ghost, God willing, and I look forward to that as well, and other videos also. So if you have any comments you want to add to this, please do. I would love to have a conversation about it. But in the meantime, peace.